Well, according to an Ipsos opinion poll, the ANC has an over 60% of winning the May elections. Now, another interesting finding is that over 30% of the registered voters feel they can't relate to any of the manifestos presented by the various parties. So now we ask, how have South Africans' voters evolved over the years? Are new voters likely to change traditional voting patterns? Furthermore, how are issues of service delivery likely to influence the ballot choices? Well, Professor Kelebo Hamapunye is chair of the Department of Political Sciences, College of Human Sciences at UNIS, and he joins me now for this conversation. Professor, thanks a lot for joining me for this conversation. Welcome to Newsnight. Now, less than 2 hours to go, well, two months to go, coming the May 8th elections, and we've just seen from just the screen there of a very tired ANC president there, Sir Ramaphosa, really campaigning in full force. But you were saying to me even off air that he's not just the only one. I mean, you've got different political party leaders that are exhausted at this time, and there's still almost a 2-month mark to go.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for inviting me. We've got about 48 political parties which are now going to be on the ballot box, more than half of what we had in 2014. And I would expect the leaders of those 48 plus or 40 plus parties to be crisscrossing, you know, the length and breadth of the country to canvass the votes, to make sure that South Africans eventually do the second right thing. The first right thing was to register at the end of 2019 and also at the beginning of 2019. So now that they have registered, the second right thing that they need to do is to do the honorable thing on the 8th of May and vote. But they can only do that.
This first right thing, let's go back to the first right thing before we tackle the second right thing. Because according to this Ipsos poll, it says that 10 million South Africans who are eligible to do the right thing chose not to do that right thing. And that right thing is that they did not vote, or registered to vote rather. So in that sense, that says something about 10 million people in this country who are eligible to vote, who are choosing not to make that choice come May 8th. What does that say about our ability to participate, not in politics? I don't think it's just about politics, but in the way in which this country is governed and who sits at the governing seat.
Those who are eligible to vote eventually do not become the sum total of those who finally vote, because after registering, so much can happen in an election before the actual day. People get disgruntled, people get new messages. We have these commissions which are running, producing new information every day. So people get different ideas about whether eventually to go and put the mark. So what it says is that South Africans are very aware about what is happening currently in the country and what has been happening in the past 5 years. The voting statistics indicate, especially the registration ones, that once people have registered, there's no guarantee that the very same number of people will actually eventually vote. So we've got a sophisticated voting population, or at least electorate. They are increasingly becoming aware that they need to question these parties. Some of them are worried about parties. They believe that these parties are fake, or some of these parties are just there to dupe them into some schemes. And so they wait until the very last minute, and they become what you call floating voters.
No, but then when it comes to this issue around the type of voter, the type of electorate, would we say that we are maturing in terms of the way in which we vote? Where we've seen that from 1994, it was, one would say that even understandable why South Africans will vote purely on experience and on emotion. No South African wanted to go back to an apartheid era. No South African wanted to go back to having to walk on the street because a person of a different color was walking on the pavement. Understood. Come in with 2014, come in even with 2019. Are South Africans still using the same mental methodology when it comes to voting, or are we still finding that now they are evolving? And I'm even talking about those individuals who are over the age of 50, who lived through an apartheid era, who don't want to go back to the apartheid era. I'm sure you've heard that many people are scared of even going with the alternative in case, they could go back to those dark ages.
There are about three, types of voters. The first one is the one that you have just mentioned, those who are 50 plus, who were there, who voted, in the first 1994 election, and even those who voted after 1994, just immediately in 1999. They tend to become what we call loyalists. They are fearful of going back to the horrible past, which is apartheid. And so hence, many of them really would like to vote, according to the party they have always voted for, the party that supposedly brought them liberation and freedom. And obviously, it's not just the African National Congress, the other parties which are contesting in 1994. However, then there are those who are, vacillating. We call them the floating voters, who wait for something to happen. And they wait up until the very last minute. They are sometimes undecided because they do like the shopping around of the parties. And so those ones are the ones that the parties are gunning for whenever they are, campaigning. And then the last group are those ones who, I would say, they eventually decide that they are going to do this tactical voting. They don't have much to fall back in terms of the history. And they don't want to trust parties based on liberation credentials or any credentials. They want to see what the party has done in previous
Does that include millennials now? So we were speaking about that, the third group of people, right?
Yeah, that
so
includes the young people. Yeah. And the young people are, I would say, sophisticated a lot because on the one hand, they are expecting things to be done and done rapidly, but some of these parties are not delivering according to the way they want. Hence, now we have the ironic situation in South Africa whereby once people have voted today, next week, they are toying, they are going into the streets and they're banning things. And you wonder, but you have just elected a government. Why don't you wait for this government to deliver? But they are very impatient and they believe that some of these parties are just too slow. So the millennials are very, very difficult to pin down. Some of them have said they want electronic voting, but as you might know, electronic voting is not allowed in South Africa. Yep. So we unfortunately, for May the 8th, you can't go to the ATM or on the internet and vote. In fact, it's even a controversial issue as to whether we should have it. Only one country in Africa, Namibia, next door, is the one which has got these electronic voting machines. But the other countries are very, very reluctant. And so the millennials tend to choose biometric voting and all those things. But then there's hacking that we have to be worried about. Also, the secrecy of the vote. Can we guarantee it when we start using gadgets? Or
is it the case that Big Brother is watching? And I need to ask you about the questions around the type of voting that's going to happen. I mean, these statistics are showing that the ANC will have about a 61% mark in terms of gathering the votes. We've got the EFF sitting at about 9%. I mean, obviously, this is not cast in stone. These are just predictions, so to say. Right? We've got the Democratic Alliance, which has done fairly well, or is predicted to be doing well, as opposed to the 2014 elections, going into about 16%. And then we've got, obviously, the IFP, as well as the Freedom Front Plus, with sitting with just about 1%, so to say. Do you think that these statistics are correct in terms of, the outcome come May 8th?
As a researcher, I would say these statistics are correct only in as far as they sampled, the people who were sampled, who were interviewed. And obviously, for this sample, for this survey, I wouldn't know how many were sampled. But those people who were sampled obviously would reflect, the picture of the current situation.
This is just the graphic that just
roughly whereby
shows
it's more like a reflection of the national situation, whereby currently we have obviously the ANC at the top, the TA being the second party, and then the EFF being the third one. So I would say that they might not be far off. However, we must not discount the fact that in 2014 we had this controversy, huge controversy, you probably remember, about opinion polls. And I don't want to postpone on this one, but we have to obviously be cautious about these surveys, because we need to make sure that they are very, very close to the threshold. In 2014, some of them got it plainly wrong. And hence now, the politicians who won the election after 2014 came to us and say, but you said we are going to lose and lose very badly. Now look at what the statistics are telling us. The same applies to the voter turnout. The voter turnout, as my figures tell me that from 1994, obviously, we didn't have a voter's roll. But from 1999 up until 2014, I see the voter turnout going down. So it might just be very much that this one maybe is very close. However, I keep saying that we need to exercise extreme caution, because of the voting, the floating vote phenomenon. Also because anything can happen on the eve of an election.
And also on the other side of it, it's the masses. The masses are not necessarily on social media. The masses are not necessarily on these opinion polls. The masses on the ground where a lot of the politicking actually needs to happen. Professor, we have to leave our conversation there, but thanks a lot for joining us, giving us an insightful conversation just about exactly what can be anticipated ahead of this May 8th elections. They're from the Department of Political Sciences, College of Human Science in UNISA, Professor Kyaleboga Mapunye, giving us insights on that. Well, coming up, police presence has been beefed up outside the FNB Stadium as scores of music lovers gathered for Ed Sheeran's concert. This is Newsnight. Stay with us.